Today we continue with the next point from the development of embryo or embryonic development. After completion of the cleavage, then blastulation, then implantation, the new point that is known as the gastrulation. Actually, gastrulation is the process of formation of gastrula from the blastocyst. This last time we complete the blastula formation. In the blastocyst, there are different types of cells formed, some trophoblast cells and inner cell mass cells. So there is division as well as reformation of the cells, and formation of the gastrula takes place. Actually, gastrula is nothing but it is the structure formed from the blastula. There are two different events takes place in the gastrula formation. That is, first one is the differentiation of blastomeres. There is formation of three germinal layer, that is ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. During that formation, these three layers are formed from the embryoblast cells. And second event is morphogenic moments. These morphogenic moments takes place. First, actually it starts from the 8th day after fertilization. Then the inner cell mass of the blastula are known as the hypoblast cells. These hypoblast cells become flat and starts dividing. This grows downwards in the blastocyst and forms the endoderm. Here the endoderm formation takes place. Then it grows in blastocells and forms the yolk sac. This yolk sac form in the below the endoderm. Then inner cell mass in contact with the cells of Rauber, that forms the epiblast. That epiblast formation at the upper side. Then after formation of endoderm, ectoderm is formed. This ectoderm forms again redivision of epiblast. Here redivisions takes place and the endoderm form. Then ectoderm is formed. By the redivision of epiblast, the amniotic cavity is formed. See here, that amniotic cavity. That means first endoderm form, then yolk sac form, then ectoderm form. The ectoderm is surrounded by the amniotic cavity, or the amniotic cavity is surrounded by the ectoderm. Then gastrulation occurs or completes at about 15th day after fertilization, in which bilaminar embryonic disc is transformed into trilaminar disc. That means three germinal layers formed: ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Then there is rearrangement and migration of epiblastic cells, formation of primitive streak. म्हणजे अशी एक स्ट्रीक पट्टी असल्यासारखं स्ट्रक्चर फॉर्म होतं from anterior and posterior end of the embryo. From this primitive streak, middle layer, that is mesoderm, extends into ectoderm and endoderm. The anterior end of primitive streak or primitive groove communicates with this yolk sac and form blastopore. That blastopore is nothing but it is the future anus of the developing fetus. The embryonal disc differentiated into thus three layers, that is ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Then after gastrulation, further process is organogenesis. That means the organ formation takes place and their development takes place. Thus the gastrulation process completes. Now after gastrulation process, the next step is known as pregnancy, or it is also known as gestation. It is the period between fertilization up to parturition. It is total 266 days or 280 days from the last menstrual cycle. It is divided into 3 trimesters. That 3 trimesters are of 3 months each. Out of this first trimester, it starts from the fertilization to the 12th week. That means during that stage, the radical changes in the mother and embryo takes place. Nutrients from the endometrium are absorbed up to the first 2 to 4 weeks. During that period, the embryo becomes 3 cm long. It is the period of organogenesis. That means organs starts to develop and forms and develops. Then at the end of 8th week, body organs are developed and then embryo known as the fetus. Fetus म्हणजे लहान मूल. During that time, at the 6th week, there is heartbeat continues. Then central nervous system, that is known as CNS, is start to develop. Then excretory and circulatory systems begins to start. Menstrual cycle stops temporarily, and it stops temporarily up to the end of the pregnancy. There are changes in the mother's body also takes place. Now the fetus becomes 7 to 10 centimeter long. As the fetus grows, placenta also grows. Then uterus becomes larger and the mother shows morning sickness, that is nausea, then vomiting and mood alerting or mood changing. Then it is about first 3 months. Then the second stage, that is known as the second trimester. It starts from 13th week up to the 26th week. It shows rapid growth of the fetus. Then brain development begins, म्हणजे nervous system develop व्हायला सुरुवात झालेली आहे. The embryo length is somewhat 30 centimeter long. The next change is human chorionic gonadotropin, that is the hormone. That hormone secretion declines. It declines, but corpus luteum regresses at that time. Placenta starts to produce progesterone, and progesterone is important for maintenance of the pregnancy. During that time, movement of baby felt by the mother. But the fetus shows, during that time also, fetus shows hairs, eyebrows, eyelashes, then इयर पिना म्हणजे कानाचा बाहेरचा भाग, बाह्यकर्ण जो आहे तो डिस्टिंक्ट दिसतो, म्हणजे दृश्य अगदी ह्या स्टेजमध्ये. अँड ॲट दॅट टाइम द बेबी रिचेस हाफ द साईज ऑफ ए न्यू बॉर्न, म्हणजे जन्म होत असणाऱ्या वेळेचं जे काही साईज असेल त्याच्याबरोबर हाफ साईजची बेबी त्यावेळेस असते. देन नेक्स्ट स्टेज इज थर्ड trimesters. It lasts from 27th week up to the parturition. Parturition is nothing but the childbirth. At this stage, fetus grows up to 3 to 4 kg weight and 50 centimeter long. It is approximately. At that time, uterus expands, abdominal organs compressed, strains in the back muscles of mother, and at that time, fetus becomes fully developed and it is ready for the birth, or it is known as the parturition.